Hi Arindam, good morning. Welcome to Motor Capsule. So please tell me, why did you choose the Continental GT650?
So the main reason for me to go for Royal Enfield and GT650 was mostly the price to performance ratio. The other things which I was considering along with it were like the 390 series from KTM, either the Duke or ADV 390, or even the BMW 310 GS. But for me, it was like a 650cc bike coming at this price point, that too from Royal Enfield with the whole service network around India. So it seemed like it's a better value for money compared for me. And given it was my first bike, so I thought, yeah, why not give it a try? I've heard good things about Royal Enfield from everyone. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And then the test drive was obviously really great in terms of the engine refinement and everything. So yeah, those are the things which kind of led me to get to a GT650 in general.
How do you feel the comfort of riding through the cities and highways?
So that's one thing which kind of takes a little bit of time in terms of how we are maneuvering this in city. I mean, given it's a 200 kg bike, although you don't feel the weight in if you're riding it, but sometimes at stationary positions it might be that you will feel the weight. So there might be a little bit of discomfort initially, and the other thing can be a little bit of heating issues. That again, those are the things which people get used to very quickly. In case of since I was moving from a rented Avenger, which I was trying before, I felt those things in the initial 10 days or 15 days. Then I got to know how to kind of turn it off when needed and at what speed to ride it. And after that, it was a cakewalk, even in city as well as highways. And highways, there has been absolutely zero issues. It's a complete pleasure to ride on highways. You can easily go into cruising speed of 110, 120. You wouldn't even feel you're riding at that speed. And yeah, as I said, when you're riding it, you don't feel the curb weight at all. So it's very easy going, and the engine refinement is absolutely amazing. The gear shift with the slipper clutch is really great in terms of just moving from one gear to other. And the one major thing that I've seen in Royal Enfield bikes was the lower end torque, right? Like in first gear or in second gear, you can just rev a little high and gain a decent speed itself. So those are the things which kind of made it very pleasurable to ride even in city and even outside. It kind of gives you a lot of confidence when you're riding on the highway because of its low end torque.
So what do you think about the performance?
In terms of performance, it's actually a very new bike, right? I have had it for 3 months now. I have got to ride only 1200 kilometers because of the lockdown and stuff. But so far, in terms of performance, no issues at all. Like this is definitely a twin-cylinder 650cc bike. So, given the bikes I have ridden before, which are mostly around 200 to 300 cc, in terms of the way or the easiness with which it gains the speed, it's I have never felt any performance issues or any time the bike is lagging or not giving me the punch that I need to overtake when I'm going on highway speed and stuff. So all good. It's a really high performant bike given the Indian market and given the Indian standards. So yeah, so far all good in terms of performance, and so far very happy as well with the way it has performed. And I haven't really ridden it to 160 and stuff, but I believe it should easily be able to take that. With after the second service, probably I'll try to go till 160. So far 120 is how I've taken it, and no vibrations even at 120 I feel. That's one of the things I kind of felt when I used to be in my college days, and I used to ride Bullet and classic 350s, and you could kind of feel vibration at 110 around, but with this there has been no vibration at all.
So what was the bike used before buying the GT?
Yeah, I had a rented Avenger. I used it for close to 2 months. I mean, that's the one in which I kind of got used to the city traffic, and I used to take out for weekend rides and stuff. Yeah, I mean, if we are comparing this to the Avenger, again, both the bikes kind of belong in a little different segment. That's a more comfortable sitting position and stuff. But overall, the power difference is like visible in terms of even while riding in the first gear, you can see that it punches so much power that kind of the acceleration that it provides and the pickup that it provides, it's unparalleled compared to something like an Avenger. So I would say both of them are completely different experience, and that gets clear around the price point as well, right? In terms of this coming close to 3.5 on road here, and Avengers 200cc coming much lower than that. So overall, I would say it's not fair for us to compare those two different segment bikes. This definitely is a much better riding experience compared to Avenger.
How do you feel the GT when you consider touring?
So that was one of the things with which I kind of, before I basically purchased this bike, I was kind of confused between Interceptor and GT. So as you know, it's a cafe racer model. That means the riding posture is a little bit more aggressive. You are like towards the side or leaning onto the motorcycle. Compare it to something like Interceptor or even Avenger, the riding postures are more relaxed. So that's something which is to be kept in mind while touring, that if we are going over the range of 300 kilometers and stuff, some people might face some issues. Having that being said, if like we are used to and like doing proper with a proper physique, I have never really faced any issues. Although I haven't taken it upwards of 300 kilometers, the most I have done so far is like 150 kilometers in a stretch. But in that, I had zero issues at all in terms of the riding posture and stuff. So, and performance wise, there is absolutely zero issues. The only thing that we have to be a little bit of mindful is the riding posture, being it a cafe racer. Apart from that, there is absolutely no issue with touring. Like you can, I'm hoping I do around 600 kilometers as well in a stretch and stuff, and it should be performant enough. It's just due to the lockdown, I didn't really get a chance to go more than that.
So is there any major problems you faced till now?
In terms of major problem, if I could think, one thing that definitely kind of pisses me off is the not lack of center stand in it. I haven't really faced any problem, but as you might realize with long rides and stuff, if the tire gets punctured, and it's a tube tire, right? So that is something which I wish it had come through by default. And when I do the next set of modification, that's definitely the first thing I'm going to take in terms of having a center stand, so that it's a little bit easier to fix punctures and fix the bike in case something happens in long touring rides. The other thing that might come off as a little bit of problem, and that again goes away with time, even in 10 days I got used to it, was the weight of the bike. So only thing you have to be a little mindful around the weight is you need to anticipate that it's a 200 kg bike. So you don't really feel it while you are riding it on highways or even in city traffic. But once you stop, if you turn it more than 30 degrees, the weight becomes visible. And if you haven't anticipated that it's a heavy bike, then you might end up falling or end up tripping the bike. And then picking that back up is again difficult given its huge weight. So just something to be mindful of when we are riding it for the first time. But yeah, you get used to it pretty soon. After 10 days or so, I mean, I'm kind of aware that the weight is there, so there has been no problem after that. So yeah, those two would be a little bit of issues, and apart from that, there's nothing else. It can get heated up sometime, but that again depends on the Bangalore traffic, and if we are like riding for first gear for a very long time and not really turning it off on the signals. But since I got to know that how to again maneuver it through the traffic, I know when to turn it off and how to give it enough time or how to ride it in speed enough, so not to take it in a messy situation among the traffic. But overall, it's been, apart from these three very small nitpick issues, there is no major issue at all.
Could you please tell something about the best things in GT 650?
Best things in GT. So there's an interesting story on how I bought this GT. So in terms of, I was there on the showroom, and this was the 2021 model, which was recently launched with all the color changes, right? So I took a test drive on the same day. I said, okay, I want to buy this. This was the model which had just come for display, and within one day I kind of booked it. So the best thing that I found even while on the test drive was the engine refinement, that it goes from one gear to other gear, and it's almost seamless, that you don't even feel while changing gears, and with the whole slipper cut system that's there, and which is not something we hear of in the lower end bikes, right? It's the first time I kind of rode this bike, I could feel the punch that it's providing with the whole twin cylinder engine. So that was the major thing that I really liked, with how easy it can cruise through speeds, or how easily it kind of goes from 0 to 100 at a very easily. I think it goes till 70, 75 in the first gear itself, and in the second gear you can take it to 100 if you're really pushing it and stuff, although not recommended before the second service. So those were the things. Plus, apart from that, it's on an overall basis, it's just a very pleasant riding experience. The bike does not lag at all. The bike kind of gives us a feeling of being in control, and the cornering also has been very pleasant in terms of when I take it to highway rides, be it overtaking the trucks and things and maneuvering it in between multiple lanes and stuff. It just feels that you are in control, and I kind of like the whole look of the bike as well compared to some other, although it maintains a traditional look, but Royal Enfield has done a great job in terms of giving it that sporty look and the sporty posture that a lot of youth at least would prefer or would like to do. So yeah, those would be probably the best things I kind of like.
So what about the service and maintenance cost?
Yeah, for service and maintenance cost, I've only done the first service done, but it costed somewhere around 2,900, 2,800, somewhere around that figure. And again, the service cost is like free. It's just the cost of consumables, the engine oil change, and there are a few more consumables around the engine oil that they kind of change after that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm saying it's north of 2,800 is what it will cost. And yeah, this was one of the things as well which I liked around the overall servicing, not just the service cost, but this Royal Enfield in general has a very good network all over India. So even if you are riding it through villages or some remote area, you would definitely find a Royal Enfield showroom very easily. So that's one of the good things that comes with going with Continental GT, that you would be easily able to repair it in case something goes wrong or in case you are in an accident or so. So but in terms of service cost, it's just 2,800 or so. So pretty cheap, I would say, and compared the price range of the bike and compared to the other bikes which are in this range.
Have you done any modifications?
Yeah, as you can see, I have done sort of the first round of modifications. There are a few more which I would like to do, but just to go over the stuff, starting from probably the engine guard. This that you see over here is the Zana engine guard along with the slider that comes. So it kind of protects the whole engine frame, and also in case the bike falls, it would fall on these sliders. So it will protect your leg as well as the whole body of the bike. So that being the main idea, I kind of did not go for the one that was coming with Royal Enfield, because I had this in mind that I'll install the ones with slider as my first round of modifications. Then the other thing that we see in the front is this radiator guard. So when we are going for long tours and stuff, what might happen is stones and stuff, they can hit the radiator, and if it's kind of a fragile system in terms of high speed stones hitting it. So if that happens, the oil will leak and it's a big mess in the highway. So that's why it's kind of very important to get a radiator guard. So this was part of the first series of modification. And if you look down a little bit, you would see a sum guard that is installed. Now this is again a biking sum guard, did not go for the Zana one. Reason being, if you see, this kind of covers the whole pipes that come out of the engine, the silencer pipes and stuff. So instead of going just for the engine bottom, it kind of gives us an overall protection, so that if there is anything hitting or any debris coming up, it does not hit even these pipes and stuff. So just an overall more protection compared to just going for a bottom based sum guard. So yeah, it's probably a little more expensive than the ones that just go for the bottom, but I thought to go for the more safety ones. And in terms of front, there is this aftermarket PUG visor that we have installed for it. The normal windshield that comes with Continental GT or even Interceptor, it's somewhere close to this size. That does not really provide any wind blast protection. With this, I have ridden it around at 120 and have faced zero issues. There is absolutely no wind blast that comes to face. So something which I personally recommend that should be there in every Continental GT and stuff. Yeah, the one that comes with the Royal Enfield, the by default that comes, that absolutely does zero job of wind blast protection. So definitely a thing that we want to do. Now the other thing that we have over here are these are again from Zana. These are the saddle stays that are there. So you can install 2 saddlebags on this side, and generally quite useful for long-term touring. And also, if you see, these are quite sturdy, so you can kind of put a bag and like tie it with ropes and stuff. So for all your touring needs, this should be enough. And then there are other things around getting a saddlebag and getting a tank bag and stuff, but as of now, haven't really gone that far. So yeah, that's pretty much it. But I do plan on kind of installing the Mad Dog lights as well, just for the night stuff, because the headlight is good enough, but sometimes at night at highways when there are no road lights, you would kind of need a little bit extra light. So for that, I'll go for the Mad Dog lights once the lockdown opens and everything.
So Arindam, it's been great to know about your experience, and thank you so much for coming with us today.
No, it's been a pleasure on my side as well. So yeah.